Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about plot holes, but not the kind people usually mean. Not forgotten eye collars, not continuity errors, not small timeline inconsistencies. Those are easy to fix. The biggest plot hole authors accidentally create is much deeper than that. It's this. Your character's actions don't make emotional sense. Everything on the surface looks fine. The scenes connect, the events escalate, the structure holds together. But somewhere along the way, the reader quietly starts thinking, why would they do that? And once that question enters the story, trust starts to slip. So, let's unpack this so you can strengthen your story by avoiding this kind of mistake. Because a true plot hole isn't just a missing detail, it's a break in cause and effect. Something happens that doesn't grow naturally out of what came before. And most often, that break happens inside the character. Here's what this looks like in practice. Imagine you're writing a story about a character who is deeply afraid of confrontation. You've shown this clearly. They avoid conflict, they keep quiet, they go along with things to keep the peace. Then, near the climax, you need them to stand up to someone powerful. So they do. They deliver a bold speech, they take a huge risk, they act completely differently, and technically, it solves the plot problem, but emotionally, it feels unearned. The reader doesn't buy it, not because bravery is unrealistic, but because the story didn't build toward it. That's the plot hole. Not the action itself, but the missing transformation. The real issue to look at here are skipped steps. Most major plot holes happen when authors skip steps in a character's development. We know where we want the character to end up, so we push them there. We manipulate them in order to make them do what we need them to do, so the story develops the way we want it to. But we forget to show the gradual pressure that would actually have to happen in order for the character to change in a way that allows them to behave differently from how they would have behaved earlier on in the story. Character change isn't a switch. It's erosion, it's pressure over time, it's failed attempts, small shifts, reluctant realizations. If a character behaves in a way that contradicts everything we've seen before, and we haven't watched the internal shift happen, then the story breaks, even if the structure is technically sound. Here's another example. The protagonist in a mystery novel is searching for the truth. Clues are revealed, tension rises, then near the end, a side character suddenly reveals critical information they could have shared much earlier. Technically, that's a plot twist, but emotionally it feels manipulative. The reader thinks, why didn't they just say that before? What stopped them? If there's no clear motivation, fear, guilt, protection, self-interest, then the twist feels artificial, and that's another kind of plot hole. This usually happens for one of three reasons. First, we as authors fall in love with a moment, a big speech, a dramatic betrayal, a shocking twist. And we want that moment so badly that we don't check if it grows naturally from the story. Second, we outline externally, but not internally. We plan events carefully, but we don't track what the character believes, how that belief is challenged, and how it slowly changes. In this case, the plot moves, but the character doesn't. Third, we underestimate how perceptive readers are. Readers don't consciously analyze structure most of the time, but they feel when something is off. They sense when a reaction is too convenient. when a decision feels forced, when growth happens too quickly. So how do you avoid this type of plot hole? Well, there are a few practical ways to guard against it. For starters, track internal cause and effect, not just external events. After major scenes, ask yourself, what does this experience change about the character? Not dramatically, just slightly. Every meaningful scene should leave a mark. Next, make big actions cost something. If your character makes a bold move near the end, it should cost them emotionally. Maybe they're terrified while doing it, maybe they regret it afterward, maybe it strains another relationship. Why is this type of cause and effect important? Because growth without discomfort feels false. And finally, check for emotional setup before major decisions, before a character makes a crucial choice. Look backward in the manuscript. Can you see the doubts building, the frustration increasing, the belief slowly cracking? If not, you may need to layer that in. And yes, this can be done after the first draft is finished. Here's a simple way to test your story. At your biggest turning point, ask, if I removed 3 scenes before this moment, would this decision still make sense? If the answer is yes, then you might not have built enough emotional groundwork, because the best climaxes feel inevitable in hindsight, not surprising in a random way, but surprising in a way that makes you think, of course it couldn't have gone any other way. This is why structure alone isn't enough. You can follow 3-act structure perfectly. You can hit all the right plot beats and still create a plot hole if the emotional development is missing. You see, structure organizes events, but it's the character that justifies them. And when those two drift apart, then the story starts to feel mechanical. As a gentle reminder, if you realize you've done this in your draft, that's normal, truly. Most first drafts contain at least one moment where the author pushed the story forward instead of letting it grow forward. Revision is where alignment happens. Often, fixing this kind of plot hole doesn't require rewriting the entire ending. It requires strengthening the middle, either by tweaking scenes or adding additional ones where necessary for the purpose of deepening the pressure, clarifying motivation, and letting the character struggle longer. Which is good news, because it means your story probably isn't broken, it's just underdeveloped. Before we wrap up, I would love to know if you've ever read a book where a character's decision completely pulled you out of the story. Or, if you're drafting right now, is there a moment in your manuscript that you're not fully convinced by? Let me know in the comments if you found this helpful and you'd like more practical guidance on plotting, structure, and strengthening your drafts. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.